My professional background is somewhat mixed. I started wanting to be an English teacher in college because I enjoyed reading and writing. The English department at the University of Arizona had a kerfuffle, and several of the faculty that I enjoyed left, so I decided to go over to the phys ed department because I enjoyed playing games, and took courses there. My father finally asked me if I was going to graduate. I said I had no idea, and he said I'd better find out. So I discovered there were several courses I needed to take, that you had to have a major and a minor, and I'd been going through the course catalog, just, gee, that looks interesting, I think I'll take that. Women had very limited options. So I applied for graduate schools and picked Smith College in Massachusetts because they had a very good program that emphasized learning skills. So I went to Smith, and 2 years later I knew that I definitely did not want to be a physical education teacher. As an extracurricular course, I was able to take some public health courses, and a friend of mine suggested that I make an application to Yale, which I did, went down for interviews, and was accepted with a full scholarship. But when my faculty advisor asked me what I'd like to do my field placement in, I facetiously said American Indians, because I'd met an interesting guy in New York who was a Seneca, and I thought I'd go to Buffalo and play around. They took me very seriously because I was from Arizona, and they arranged for a field placement with the San Carlos Apache in Arizona. A couple of years into that, I got transferred to Seattle, and the department gave me a master's degree in anthropology to hold all the units that I'd earned, and said, you know, as soon as you get a topic for a dissertation, come back. Well, one thing led to another, and that ended that. So I was working with the Coast Salish in the Seattle area, went over to the University of Washington and asked about taking a couple of courses just to catch up in what was going on. The next thing I knew, I was in their doctoral program in public health. I worked in the National Health Service Corps for a while, and then was fortunate to get a position in one of the early AIDS programs. HIV/AIDS was the new epidemic, was creating havoc all over the world. In the United States, it was largely thought of as being a gay disease, which it was not, but it was another culture to work in. I was very comfortable with it and really enjoyed that work until I was moved to the Office of the Surgeon General to do a drunk driving workshop. Stayed with the Surgeon General until C. Everett Koop was leaving government, and then went over to the National Institutes of Alcoholism and Alcohol Abuse. I think the break that led me to that was being sent to an Indian reservation when I had not really intended to do that for my field work. When I was in public health, I really knew nothing about American Indians. I mean, zero, except for the Saturday matinees. I also didn't know about the U.S. Public Health Service, which is one of the 7 uniformed services in the United States. And the combination of being able to do a career, wear a uniform, and all the things that went with that, I thought was just ideal. Plus, most Indian reservations, to my understanding, were in rural areas, and I loved camping and hiking and being in the outdoors, so I thought this is the best possible combinations of things I could do. Working in a job that I loved was an achievement. Getting the Surgeon General's Exemplary Service Award 3 times for doing programs that benefited the Public Health Service was an achievement, but probably the most exciting and humbling thing in my life was being elected president of the American Public Health Association in 2004, I believe, or 5. I was a workaholic. I think that I put a lot of myself into my work, as well as being a member of several professional organizations and getting actively involved. I was a member of the Society for Applied Anthropology and presented there. The Association of Military Surgeons of the U.S., which AMSUS sounds a little weird, but it's all of the government health service people, not just military surgeons. And I did work with them, and when the Public Health Service hosted, I enjoy the Seattle Storm, which is our professional women's basketball team, helping other people if I can. I'm blessed to be in a position to help some people, and I do that the way that I live, trying to be thoughtful of folks older than me, and I'm getting older, but I learn a lot from the 80 and 90-year-olds where I live in a senior resident community. Summarize my life's work in a single word. I would choose the word blessing. I think my life has been blessed. I've had marvelous opportunities. I had a good family that raised me and taught me and was patient with my errors and my education. Miraculous things have happened. I had jobs and careers and opportunities that I never dreamed I'd have, and that has been a blessing. My personal inspirations, I was a great science fiction buff, so I guess some of the major science fiction authors, Isaac Asimov and Robert Heinlein, taught me a lot. I had the opportunity to hear Margaret Mead, the anthropologist, speak several times, and toward the end of her life, she really began to focus on the importance of paying attention to young people, giving them a chance to contribute, creating an environment that they could survive and thrive in, and I really admired that because adults tend to focus on adults and not think about younger people, and it's very important, and I really respected her for the work that she did and for her vision. Well, I guess I have two legacies to leave. One is in the professional work that I did. I was fortunate, even though I was not an academic, to be able to publish a couple of books and several research articles. So that's a legacy for anybody who gets interested in history, I guess. My other legacy is that whatever funds I accrue and manage to save will go to my universities, because I have 5 degrees and I had no debt. And also to arts organizations, because music and art in my life have been an important pursuit in my free time, and so I will be leaving some money to a chorus and the symphony and things like that, and my church. One of the best lessons that I learned, that I think even with computers and all of the technology that we have, is that you can't know everything, but you need to know where to look. And Google makes it very easy nowadays to know where to look. But still, some things take some research and listening to other people. So it's important to have questions, be curious, and know where to find answers. I would say that my family's role in my life was patience and unconditional love, even when I grieved them a lot. Support. My mother was a teacher, and a very, very good teacher, and she created life lessons for us in many, many ways, and the older I get, the more I find that I'm drawing on her wisdom, her kindness, and the way she taught and supported people throughout her life. And there's another kind of family that is equally important in your life if you can recognize it, and that's your family of choice. The friends that you make and keep with you, that are there for you in bad times as well as good, and you're there for them. So your family of origin is important if they care for you and nurture you. Your family of choice is what's going to see you through the rest of your life. How would I like to be remembered? I probably won't be remembered very much, except by maybe some nieces and nephews. And the research work that I've left, but it's highly specialized, and times change, and somebody may stumble across some work I did and said, oh, that's kind of interesting. I'm not going to have an immortal historic legacy, because that's not the kind of person I am. One of the things that I have become comfortable with in my old age is the fact that I've been a lesbian all my life. It has caused me a lot of grief and pain in my youth. It was very hard for my family to deal with, but in the end, the family accepted it. I had a wonderful marriage of 32 years until my wife died, and I'm trying to live the kind of life I would like people to think of me as, which is as a whole person and not just a label.